my name is Tim. I am the pseudo mechanic. About a year ago, I started this channel to share what I know about cars. And over the past few months, I have not made any videos because I decided that it was time to build a garage that would also act as a studio where I could work on everything I need to whenever I need to. It's 40 by 60 feet with 13-foot walls. It's fully insulated. It's a steel building ordered from a company called Mueller. I did the majority of the work on the building myself. I did have friends and family come and help when I had large projects such as the concrete or lifting heavy things that I could not lift by myself, like moving the insulation on top of the building and then installing the 20-foot long panels for the roof. The majority of the building was straightforward. We got plans from a foundation engineer that specified the size, the depth, the type of rebar, the number of rebar, and the placement of those rebar for the concrete slab. We did go to an equipment rental place and rented what's known as a track hoe, and I operated that and dug the foundation. I have never operated one before, but it was relatively easy, and the foundation came out correct. After we dug the hole, we bought oriented strand board, or OSB, a type of plywood, and set up forms. And we measured everything several times and made sure that our measurements were correct. And we did wrap the foundation hole with plastic vapor barrier so that the concrete would dry out properly and the surrounding ground would not seep water into the foundation. After we had built the foundation forms and had put in all the rebar and the vapor barrier, we called the state inspector and he came out and it passed with no problems. And we scheduled the concrete pour. I had ordered the steel building kit in May of 2019, and then the kit had to be manufactured at the steel mill. So we had several months to prepare. During that time, we dug the foundation and completed it. But due to weather and scheduling issues, we did not pour the concrete until November. We poured the footer for the foundation and 2 of the pads on the top of the foundation in one day, and then came back and poured the other 2 pieces the next days. So the building is 60 feet wide and the individual pads are 15 feet wide. And it was much easier than trying to do it in one pour, but it was still extremely hard work to screed and finish the top of the concrete. So after the concrete was done, we decided to let it set for several months and did not resume construction on the building until March. We rented a machine known as a skylift to lift and place the red iron steel columns on the bolts in the concrete pad. Now, the bolts are 16 inches deep, and the main purpose is not to anchor the building. The weight of the building anchors it. The main purpose of the bolts is to keep the building from flying away. I was not aware of this beforehand, but steel buildings are extremely light per square foot, and their major structural problems are lift caused by wind when one of the doors is open. So the 16-inch anchor bolts are there to resist that lift, and underneath each column is an oversized section of foundation to add more weight, effectively like ballast. So after we started on the red iron structural steel, we got our insulation and started cutting it to length and started putting up wall panels. All in, the process of erecting the steel and insulating and putting the R-panel skin on the building took us about 4 weeks. And that's not working 5 days a week. That was part-time work over 4 weeks. So with a full-time crew, it could easily be done in perhaps 4 or 5 days. After the building exterior was completed, I called the state and they came out and did a final inspection, and I received my certificate of occupancy. I did not install electricity prior to the state inspection, as I have a friend who's an electrician and can sign off on the electrical work period. After the exterior of the building was completed, I ordered 45 sheets of 4 by 8 foot OSB. I attached those to the horizontal supports that hold the exterior skin of the building on, and I used the same screws to attach sheet metal because they're self-tapping. After I installed the OSB, I went to the Home Depot and I bought what are known as remodel boxes. And this is a remodel box, and it has little tabs that stick up so you can cut a hole in either plywood or sheet metal or OSB or whatever your wall material is, and you insert the box, and when you tighten the screws, these little tabs come up, and that holds the box against the wall, and then you can come in from the inside and put in your electrical outlet or your switch. Now, I chose to use the remodel boxes because the OSB does not have any framing behind it. There's no 2x4, so it's only supported at the 3-foot level and the 7-foot level. There's nothing in the middle that I could attach a standard outlet to, an outlet box to. After I put up the OSB wall boards, I used a tool right here known as a multi-tool. And this is basically the same as a medical cast saw. This does not spin. It oscillates at 21,000 or so movements per second, and it will cut directly into a wall board. And this has different attachments, and you can get whatever shape you need. So you can cut a perfectly rectangular, square, round, or any other shaped hole in the wall. And it is not oversized. There's no cuts past where this blade stops, because you can turn it sideways and use the edge of it and plunge directly into the material you want, having it start exactly on your line and go exactly to the end. This is not a sponsored video, but I like Ryobi. Their stuff works. It's not very expensive. I don't understand why people spend 2 or 3 or 4 times as much for the same tool with the same warranty. So save yourself money where you can. Buy tools that work, and if you can afford to buy a better tool, buy a better tool. But buy the best that you can afford, because you will regret buying cheap tools. Because nobody likes a cheap tool. That was a little joke. So after I installed the outlet boxes and chose a location for my panel box, I used the same multi-tool and cut a hole in the OSB. I chose the location, and then I began to run wires. And I have a few things left to do. An outlet for a 220 outlet for my welder, but all the other outlets are spaced around the garage. Lights are installed, and the lighting plugs into an outlet that is switched. So I have 2 zones. I have the back wall and the front wall, and I can use either set of lights that I want, or both.